Hello YouTube, my name's Sean Connors and welcome back to Outsiders channel, and today we're continuing our series of videos called Campaign Design. Now, I left off last time with this very simple question. By finding your campaign's uniqueness in the joining of familiar elements, you're one step ahead when it comes to the following test. How easily can you condense the core concept of your campaign into a single word or sentence? Hopefully you've pondered that and thought about it, because that's sometimes part of the goal. You don't necessarily need to share this with your players, though it may help to pique their interest and get them orientated into the direction of what you want to do in your game. The exercise in itself really is designed to ensure that you're operating from a simple, clear idea. Role-playing games really are based on pop culture genres for two related reasons. Because they're easy to understand and because people know and like them. In pop culture, simple, strong ideas are always better and more appealing than complex. Complex and unfocused ones. And if you look at the pop chart, irrespective of your views of the pop chart, it's a reality. You know, catchy songs over complex, really clever ones. The more clearly you can state your own basic idea, the more likely it is that your players will understand and respond to it. By all means, use references to relevant movies, comic books, novels, whatever really takes your fancy. In addition to the aforementioned combo and concepts, good examples might include things like, because we talked last time about some of my ideas, but they might include things like, I've thought about it afterwards, Eastward Ho, an alternative history in which the Japanese settled America, what that would look like, invading orcs have conquered the modern world, a fancy world 100 years after magic stopped working, anti-globalist anarchistic punks battle Nerethrotop and his minions. You know, it's whatever you want to make it, really. That's finding your campaign's uniqueness, and I want to bring that little bit to a close. Now, the next piece I want to do on campaign design is what I call the mission. Now, the mission is simply, it shouldn't really warrant much space, to be perfectly honest, and it's fairly obvious. But it sometimes eludes even the most gifted authors and publishing game companies. They miss the point on this very simple sentence. You must know and clearly communicate what it is that the PCs are expected to do. And you should be able to do that exactly in the same test that I gave you before, in one simple sentence. It's critical. The players must understand the remit of what they're going to do. Because if you don't, players will go off on a multitude of tangents. They probably will anyway, but at least you've given yourself the best possible chance as a GM to successfully guide them to the finish of what you're trying to achieve on that given session, or those given sessions of games. And it's well worth reiterating that point. If you're using a published game off the rack, this question probably won't trouble you, as most of them are pretty straightforward as to what they're trying to achieve. Pretty much most of the popular games provide what I call a default activity for the adventurers to do. You know, the sort of thing where the PCs are supposed to raid an underground complex, kill all the monsters and steal all their stuff, or to advance the power and agenda of their supernatural cable. There's something there that's going to be straightforward and clear for the players to grasp. On the other hand, you might want to take an established game but narrow the focus to a single activity. The group of fantasy adventurers might be working to restore the old Empire. Your spaceship crew might be made up of xenobiologists in search of a new life form. A Western game might feature a super posse of deputized people to track down supernatural outlaws. Highly specialized missions give your game an element of uniqueness, but carry a couple of risks. One, your mission might exclude certain player types within it, so you have to be mindful of that. You know, so for example, method actors specialists may object that their restrictive mission limits their flexibility and their character's design, so you need to be very careful of that. Most players come up with a character concept to try to fit in with your campaign rather than starting with your imposed mission, so you need to be really mindful of that. And some missions, this is part 2 of it, some missions are so specialised that it quickly becomes tough to create interest and varied adventures. For example, the xenobiologist that we just spoke about might not yield that many plot lines. To test the sustainability of your specialised mission, think up a dozen basic adventure concepts in quick point form. If you get stumped after 3 or 4 entries, it's probably not broad enough. It's not strong enough a mission to actually work. It's going to fall apart. Alternatively, you might find it rewarding to let the players find a specialised mission of their own. Give them the freedom. Open up the opportunity for them to start the campaign off. What would you like to do? What would interest you? Again, relaying this back to the previous videos in regards to the pitfalls that could happen if you allow the players the opportunity. You'll probably get 5 different opinions, but it will get immediate buy-in, spark their interest, and your game is off to the races straight away as a campaign, and you're ready and you're going. You have to be quite comfortable, of course, improvising. If you're using not an established method, an established module, and you're giving the players the freedom to choose the direction of the mission, you've got to be comfortable ad-libbing, and that may not suit the style of some GMs, but it is an interesting one to do, and it is quite good. I've often found, though, to be honest, that what you can do is you can relate an idea the players have. If you've got enough time, you can find something that will fit the bill quite well. It's quite easy, to be honest, to adapt established modules to fit more clearly the vision that you have when you sit down and just have a think about it. I know that you can break them up and make them become whatever you want to. So don't feel that it's impossible at all in regards to finding the perfect mission for your players. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's just got to tick as many boxes as possible and suit the player taste and the style of the campaign that you have. Now, another trick that you can use, and one that's very worthwhile, is when your characters are going about their normal business and beginning to find and explore your world, it's really important to have a headquarters and a recurring cast of characters. The headquarters needs to be an absolute safe haven, so whether that's a castle that is impregnable to real massive attack, whether it's some family home that, again, for the same reasons, would not be attacked, dare to be attacked for the political uproar that it would give, whatever the reasons are, somewhere the players feel safe, absolutely safe, and that must never be taken away from them. An opportunity to rest, an opportunity to time out, an opportunity basically to level up, those sort of things. It gives you an opportunity there to create a foundation from which to work off the game. It also allows you as a GM the opportunity to, some of those NPCs can impart small bits of knowledge, never too much, you have to get the balance right, but it's a nice way of, if the players have gone off track a little and you need to bring them back in line, you could subjugate a little side plot story that will bring them back in line. You might be able to give them a bit of information, you might be able to let them know a bit about news, what's going on in your campaign. Well, it's really critical to games design and particularly campaign work in general. Now, that's as far as that I want to go in the AV series. This is obviously 5.2 campaign design. That's as far as I want to go at this point about campaign design. I haven't, as you can tell, broken it down in terms of how I would go about doing a campaign. What I've actually done here is try to get you, hopefully, to think in terms of the very beginning, which is all about your players, all about your audience, for obvious reasons, and hopefully now the videos are starting to, as a chain of videos, are starting to make more sense. Anyway, I've been Sean Connors, this has been Outsiders. Happy gaming. Until the next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll pick it back up in the next AV video very shortly. All the best and happy gaming. Bye bye.